In a world where silence roars louder than words, the secret to captivating someone's attention lies not in chasing, but in mastering the art of stepping back. Here's the harsh truth. No one is drawn to desperation. They're drawn to confidence, the kind that doesn't need to beg for attention. The moment you start pursuing too much, you become predictable, and predictability kills mystery. Without mystery, desire fades. But what if you could flip the script entirely? What if, instead of chasing someone who ignores you, you became the one they couldn't stop thinking about? This is the power of restraint. This is the power of Stoic detachment. You see, the harder you try to pull someone closer, through endless texts, lavish gifts, or over-the-top efforts, the more they retreat. Why? Because people value what feels out of reach. The more available you make yourself, the less intriguing you become. Imagine someone handing you a rare diamond every day. It wouldn't feel rare anymore, would it? The same principle applies here. Value thrives on scarcity. Now let me ask you this. How much of your energy have you wasted trying to prove your worth to someone who couldn't care less? And what did that effort earn you? Silence, indifference, maybe even rejection. But here's the irony. When you stop giving them your energy, when you step back and reclaim your space, you force them to confront something they weren't prepared for, the possibility of losing you. When you retreat with purpose, you don't just disappear, you create a void, and nature hates a void. Suddenly, the power shifts. You're no longer the one seeking approval, they are. That's when they realize your absence feels heavier than your presence ever did. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. If your thoughts are consumed with trying to win someone over, you lose yourself in the process. But when you focus on self-mastery, your goals, your purpose, your life, you radiate a strength that's impossible to ignore. Strength doesn't chase, it attracts. Think of a magnet. It doesn't run after metal, it draws it in. This is the essence of Stoic attraction. Calm, composed, yet undeniably magnetic. By stepping back and focusing on your own growth, you become the kind of person others can't help but gravitate toward. So, what's the move? Stop the pursuit. Reclaim your time, your energy, your self-respect. Let them feel the weight of your absence. Let them wonder what happened, why your focus shifted, and what they lost when they stopped valuing you. Don't chase. Instead, lead them into chasing you. And here's the best part. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand how to make them come back to you, but how to do it with so much confidence and self-assurance that they'll never want to risk losing you again. Trust me, this is the kind of transformation that leaves a mark. If you're ready to shift the power dynamic and redefine your worth, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and press the bell icon so you never miss another life-changing insight. And here's the question of the day. What's the most valuable lesson you've learned about being ignored? Share your experience in the comments below. I can't wait to read them. Let's dive in. Number 1. They pulled away. Here's what you're missing. Ever wonder why someone suddenly grows distant, leaving you replaying every word, every moment, trying to pinpoint what went wrong? Let's be real, it's not random. People don't pull away for no reason. It's about balance. Attraction thrives on tension, space, and curiosity. And when that balance tips too far in one direction, something shifts. Think about it. When someone senses they hold all the power in a connection, the intrigue fades. It's not about cruelty or mind games. It's human nature. We're wired to value what isn't handed to us effortlessly. When you're always available, constantly reaching out, you're removing the one thing that keeps desire alive: mystery. Imagine a book with all the plot twists revealed on the first page. There's no reason to keep reading. It's the same with relationships. If you're always there, answering every call, replying within seconds, you're removing the subtle tension that makes someone crave your presence. You might think you're showing your commitment, but in reality, you're erasing the very qualities that made them interested in you in the first place. As Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When someone pulls back, how you respond is everything. Will you chase? Will you overcompensate, shower them with attention, or try to fix what feels broken? Or will you step back, allowing the space to work in your favor? Here's the truth. When they seem distant, it's often a subtle test. Consciously or not, people gauge your confidence and independence. They want to know, can you hold your ground, or will you crumble at the first sign of resistance? When you jump to close the distance, to prove your worth through texts, gifts, or endless reassurance, you're sending a message. They control the dynamic, and that's when attraction fades. Picture this. You're texting someone regularly, and everything feels fine. Suddenly, they start taking longer to respond. Hours turn into days. You feel the urge to send another message, to ask if everything's okay, to plan something special to fix it. But here's the Stoic perspective. You're missing the bigger picture. It's not about pulling them back through effort. It's about letting them feel the difference between your presence and your absence. When you resist the urge to over-communicate or fix things immediately, you create a void. And here's the thing about voids. They demand attention. When you don't fill the silence, they're left to wonder. They're left to feel. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." What stands in your way right now, their distance, is actually an opportunity to reset the dynamic. By stepping back, you're showing them that your value doesn't hinge on their approval. You're saying, without words, "I'm worth more than this imbalance." It's like pulling a rubber band. The harder you pull on one side, the more resistance builds. But when you release the tension, the other side moves toward you naturally. The same principle applies here. By not chasing, by giving them space, you allow them to feel what it's like to miss you. You become unpredictable, intriguing, a presence they can no longer take for granted. And here's the beauty of this approach. It's not manipulation. It's self-respect. It's understanding that true connection can't be forced or begged for. When you create that space, you give them the chance to remember the value of your presence. You're no longer guaranteed, no longer easy to reach. In time, they'll feel the weight of your absence. They'll recognize the difference between you chasing them and them chasing you. And when that moment comes, you'll realize that stepping back wasn't just about resetting the dynamic. It was about reclaiming your power. Number 2, emotional detachment changes everything. Imagine this. You're always there for someone, reacting to every subtle shift in their mood, always ready to reply, always available. But then one day, they pull back, and suddenly you're scrambling, texting, calling, analyzing their every move. Stop. Take a breath. The answer isn't in chasing harder, it's in stepping back. It's in mastering emotional detachment. Emotional detachment doesn't mean shutting down or giving up. It means letting go of the need to control how they see you or respond to you. When you stop reacting to every change in their behavior, you create space. Space for them to notice what life feels like without your constant presence. That space, it's powerful. It's a mirror that forces them to see the void you leave behind. As Epictetus once said, Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. You can't control how someone feels or behaves, but you can control how you respond. When you detach emotionally, you shift the focus back to yourself, and that shift is magnetic. Here's the paradox. The less you seem to care, the more they start to notice. Why? Because human nature values what isn't easily accessible. Think about it. How often do we long for the things just out of reach? A rare painting, a limited edition item, an exclusive event. The same principle applies here. When you're no longer always available, they begin to wonder why. Imagine you're a lighthouse in a storm, steady, immovable, shining brightly no matter what chaos surrounds you. That's what emotional detachment looks like. When they test you, by pulling away, by being distant, by trying to see if you'll crack, you stay grounded. No extra texts, no calls to check in, no scrolling through their posts trying to figure out what's going on. Instead, you let your silence do the talking. And silence speaks volumes. When someone doesn't get an instant response from you, it creates a void, and that void forces them to think. They wonder if you've moved on, if you've stopped caring, or if maybe, just maybe, you're better off without them. That's when the power dynamic begins to shift. Picture a fire. The more you fan it, the brighter it burns. But if you step back and let the wind do the work, the fire has to fight to keep itself alive. That's what emotional detachment does. It forces them to fan the flames, to work to keep the connection alive. And in that process, they begin to feel the weight of your absence. This isn't about playing games or being cold-hearted. It's about self-respect. When you pull back, you're saying, "My happiness doesn't depend on your approval." And that kind of confidence, it's rare, it's attractive, it sets you apart from everyone else who's chasing their validation. As Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Emotional detachment isn't just a tool to shift the dynamic, it's a reminder of your own worth. When you stop tying your value to someone else's attention, you reclaim your power. The modern world makes it easy to always be connected, texts, notifications, stories. But when you pull back, when you're no longer watching every move they make, they feel your absence in a way that's hard to ignore. Every post becomes a reminder that you're not there to see it. Every moment without your attention feels heavier. When you stop reacting, you shift the dynamic. You become the one who's steady, calm, and composed. They start to question their choices. They begin to wonder what they lost when they stopped appreciating you. And in that moment, the power is yours, not because you chased them, but because you stood strong enough to let them come to you. Embrace emotional detachment. It's not just about attracting them back. It's about remembering who you are and standing tall in your worth, even if it means standing alone. That kind of strength is unforgettable. Number 3, the power of doing absolutely nothing. They haven't texted, liked your posts, or given you a single sign of attention. Most people panic in this silence. They scramble to fix things, sending a casual text or leaving a comment to stay on their radar. But here's the harsh truth. Every small move you make in this moment chips away at your position. It signals that you're still thinking about them, feeling their absence, and that's all it takes to hand them back the power. Now picture this. They post a new photo, maybe one designed to catch your eye, full of confidence, a hint of allure, impossible to ignore. It pulls at you. You feel the urge to double tap or leave a comment. But that's exactly what they're counting on. That single like or comment, it's their proof that they still have a hold on you, that they can draw you in without lifting a finger. Here's what most people don't realize. Every time you give that little bit of validation, you're doing two things. First, you're reinforcing their sense of control. They know they can reach you anytime with minimal effort. Second, you're diminishing your own value. When you're too available, too predictable, you stop being a mystery. And mystery is what keeps people intrigued. Think about this. Have you ever wanted something more simply because it was just out of reach? A dream job, a rare opportunity, or even that one person who seemed hard to figure out? It's human nature to chase what isn't easily obtained. The same principle applies here. When you're always within their reach, liking, commenting, or trying to stay present, you're removing the space for them to feel your absence. Silence, though, changes the game. It creates a void, and that void has a way of making people take notice. Marcus Aurelius once said, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." And this is about living in your value, your confidence, your self-respect, without needing someone else's attention to validate you. Imagine a room suddenly going quiet. The silence isn't just absence, it's presence. It forces everyone to stop, listen, and notice what's missing. That's what your silence does. When you choose not to like their posts, comment on their updates, or send that text you're dying to send, you're creating a gap. And gaps beg to be filled. They start to wonder, why haven't they reached out? Did I lose them? Are they moving on? This isn't about playing games. It's about showing that your worth doesn't depend on their attention. That kind of confidence is rare. Most people chase when they feel distance. You're doing the opposite. You're teaching them that you're not someone who can be taken for granted. Let's get real. The world we live in thrives on instant gratification. Social media, notifications, and constant connection make it hard to feel someone's absence. But when you stop reacting, stop giving them that validation, it hits differently. Every time they scroll through their notifications and don't see your name, it leaves a mark. That quiet absence carries a weight they didn't expect. And here's where the tables turn. When you stay silent, you're not just ignoring them, you're shifting the dynamic. You're showing them that your time and attention are earned, not handed out for free. Suddenly, they're the ones wondering about you, missing you, questioning their own choices. As Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This is your moment to let go of the need to be seen, to be validated. By embracing silence, you're not just walking away, you're standing tall in your value. And that, right there, is when they realize they underestimated you. Let your silence be louder than words. Let them come to you. Number 4, make them feel your absence. Silence isn't just the absence of noise, it's a powerful force. When someone pulls back, the instinct is often to chase, to fill the quiet with calls, messages, and attention. But what if, instead of reacting, you leaned into that silence? What if you let your absence speak louder than anything you could say? This is the essence of the no-contact rule. It's not about playing games. It's about creating space so they feel the weight of your absence. For the next 30 days, imagine yourself as a ghost in their world. No texts, no calls, no likes on their posts. You disappear completely, leaving a void where your presence once filled their days. It's not an easy move, but it's transformative. By stepping back, you're not just reclaiming your energy, you're resetting the dynamic entirely. As Epictetus wisely said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. The no-contact rule can feel counterintuitive. You might worry, what if they forget me? What if they move on? But here's the truth. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. When you step away, you disrupt the usual patterns. They're no longer in control of the connection. Instead, they're left with questions. Think of it like removing a key piece from a puzzle. Suddenly, the picture feels incomplete, and they can't stop trying to figure out what's missing. That's the effect your silence creates. In today's hyper-connected world, where everyone is always just a notification away, your absence becomes a mystery. They can't check your posts, see your stories, or figure out what you're doing. And that's when curiosity takes over. Curiosity is a powerful force. At first, it's subtle. They might glance at their phone, half expecting your name to pop up. But as the days pass and your silence remains unbroken, it starts to gnaw at them. They begin to wonder, why haven't they reached out? Did I misjudge their feelings? Are they over me? Or worse, are they seeing someone else? This isn't about manipulation. It's about self-respect. When you step back, you're sending a clear message. I'm not here to beg for your attention. That kind of confidence is magnetic. Most people aren't used to being met with silence. They expect pursuit. But when you resist that urge, when you stand firm and let the silence stretch, it flips the dynamic completely. Imagine holding a magnet. The more you push it against another, the more resistance you feel. But if you pull back, the other magnet is drawn closer. That's exactly what happens here. Your absence pulls them in, not because you forced it, but because they feel the void you left behind. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When you go silent, you leave them alone with their thoughts. They start replaying moments, remembering your words and questioning their choices. And in that quiet reflection, your presence becomes impossible to ignore. At first, they may try to dismiss the silence, telling themselves they don't care. But the longer it stretches, the more profound it becomes. They'll start to notice the empty spaces, the lack of texts, the missing likes, the absence of your voice in their life. That absence forces them to confront a question they weren't ready to answer. Do I really want to lose them? This is the power of no contact. It's not just about creating distance, it's about creating clarity. For them, it's clarity about what your presence meant. For you, it's clarity about your worth and the strength to stand firm in it. By the time they feel compelled to reach out, the dynamic has shifted. They're no longer taking you for granted. They're realizing what they've lost. And that realization, it's the most powerful tool in your arsenal. Silence doesn't mean weakness. In fact, it's the ultimate display of strength. Let it work for you. Number 5. Don't wait around. Rise above the silence. When someone pulls back, the biggest mistake you can make is waiting, checking your phone every 5 minutes, wondering when they'll reach out. No contact isn't about sitting in limbo. It's about reclaiming your energy and putting it where it belongs, on yourself. This isn't a pause button on your life. It's an open door to transformation. Think of this moment as a fire. You can either let it burn you or use it to forge something stronger. The pullback isn't the problem. How you respond is what defines you. Instead of obsessing over them, use this time to become the best version of yourself. Hit the gym, learn a new skill, focus on your career, or dive into hobbies you've been neglecting. Every step you take towards self-improvement isn't just about distracting yourself. It's about building a life that makes you proud. As Marcus Aurelius once said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Waiting for someone to validate your worth only makes you weaker. Redirect that energy into becoming the person you've always wanted to be. Imagine the transformation. When they finally do reach out, they'll be looking for the same person they left behind. Instead, they'll find someone stronger, more confident, and undeniably magnetic. You're no longer just someone they used to know. You're someone they can't ignore. Here's the truth. Some of the most successful and resilient people in history didn't let heartbreak or setbacks define them. They used those moments as fuel to rise higher. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before creating the light bulb, but he didn't wait for success to come to him. He worked for it. Why should you treat your life any differently? Let's be real. At this point, you might be wondering, what if they don't notice? What if they don't come back? Here's the answer. It doesn't matter. This isn't about them. It's about you. The person you're becoming in the process is the reward. When you build a life full of purpose, discipline, and passion, you don't just attract them, you attract everything that aligns with your newfound strength. Picture this. They see you again after weeks or months of silence, expecting the same version of you they left behind. But instead, they see someone who's thriving, someone who isn't dependent on their attention to feel whole. That's when the tables turn. You've gone from chasing validation to being your own source of confidence. Think of this time as planting a seed. It won't grow overnight, but with patience and effort, it becomes something unshakable. The more you focus on your growth, the more you'll realize that your value was never tied to someone else's approval. It's rooted in who you are and what you bring to the table. As Epictetus said, first, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This is your moment to decide who you want to become. Will you be the person who waits around, hoping for a text, or the person who uses this time to rise above? By the time they see you again, you'll have built a life so full of purpose and ambition that they'll wonder if they ever truly knew you at all. But here's the beauty of it. Whether they return or not, you've already won. You've become the person you're proud of, the person who doesn't just wait, but creates a life worth living. The silence isn't a punishment. It's a gift. Use it wisely, and when the time comes, you'll realize that the most important thing wasn't winning them back. It was winning yourself back. Number 6. Turn pain into power. Heartbreak cuts deep. There's no escaping the sting of rejection or the ache of longing. But here's the secret most overlook. This pain, as crushing as it feels, holds an incredible power. If you let it, it can destroy you. But if you harness it, it can propel you to heights you never imagined. The choice is yours. Will this pain define you, or will it refine you? Imagine this moment as a crossroads. One path has you stuck, scrolling through their social media, dissecting old conversations, and replaying memories on an endless loop. The other? It's the road less traveled, the one where you take all that energy and channel it into building the strongest, most unshakable version of yourself. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Right now, heartbreak feels like a roadblock. But what if you looked at it differently? What if this pain is your launching pad? Every pang of longing, every urge to reach out, every sting of rejection, it's fuel waiting to be burned. Think of a phoenix rising from the ashes. The fire doesn't destroy it, it transforms it. That's your opportunity right now. Instead of letting this heartbreak consume you, use it to rebuild yourself. Each time you feel that familiar ache to reach out or wallow in self-pity, treat it as a cue to act. Hit the gym. Master a skill. Dive deeper into your career. The pain isn't a sign of weakness. It's a signal to push forward. And here's the paradox. When you channel your energy into self-improvement, you're not just moving forward, you're becoming magnetic. Imagine the moment they see the new version of you. You're not the same person they pulled away from. You've leveled up in ways they couldn't have predicted. But here's the real twist. By then, their validation won't even matter. Think of some of the most successful people in history. From athletes to innovators, many have experienced heartbreak and setbacks that could have crushed them. Instead of letting pain define them, they turned it into rocket fuel. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Steve Jobs was fired from the company he started. These moments didn't break them, they built them. Your heartbreak can be the same kind of catalyst. Right now, you might be wondering, what if I can't stop thinking about them? What if I never feel whole again? The answer is simple but powerful. Stop looking backward. Every second spent replaying the past is a missed opportunity to create your future. Instead of asking why it happened, ask yourself, what can I build now? Who can I become because of this? Picture this. You pour your energy into your growth. You create a life so full of purpose, drive, and ambition that it overflows with potential. When they see this new version of you, they won't just miss you, they'll realize they underestimated you. But by then, their opinion will be a faint echo, barely audible over the roar of your new life. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This heartbreak is an event, not a sentence. You can let it scar you or use it as a stepping stone to greatness. The difference lies in how you respond. Don't waste another moment scrolling aimlessly or drowning in what-ifs. Every ounce of pain you feel right now can be poured into building a life so strong, so fulfilling, that it becomes unshakable. And when they see who you've become, it'll be clear. You didn't just win them back, you won at life. The best revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's creating a story so full of growth and success that their memory becomes just another chapter, one that only made you stronger. This is your moment. Use it. Number 7. Build a foundation that can't be shaken. To be unshakable, you have to know exactly who you are and what you stand for. When you're emotionally strong, you no longer rely on others for validation. You naturally become magnetic, not just to one person, but to everyone around you. Emotional strength is the foundation of every meaningful relationship, every personal success, and every challenge you'll ever face. Without it, you're like a leaf in the wind, blown in every direction by moods, opinions, and the actions of others. But with it, you become a force, steady, grounded, and untouchable. Now think about this. How often have you let someone else's actions dictate your feelings? They pull back, act distant, or test you, and suddenly you're scrambling to make sense of it all. It feels personal, like an attack. But here's the truth. When you're emotionally grounded, these moments lose their power. They roll off you like water on stone. You don't crumble, you don't react, you stay steady. And that kind of resilience isn't just admirable, it's magnetic. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Emotional strength isn't about controlling others. It's about mastering yourself. It's about being so rooted in your own value that no one, not even the person you care about most, can rattle your foundation. Picture a storm. The wind howls, the rain beats down, but a strong tree doesn't topple. It bends, it sways, but its roots hold firm. That's what emotional strength looks like. When someone tests you, pulls away, or withdraws, you don't fall apart. You remain calm, centered, and in control. Now you might wonder, doesn't staying calm make me seem indifferent? Won't they think I don't care? The answer is no. Emotional detachment isn't about not caring. It's about not reacting impulsively. It's the ability to hold steady no matter what's happening around you. You don't ignore them or dismiss their feelings. You simply refuse to let their behavior dictate your inner peace. Here's the paradox. When you're emotionally grounded, you become the one they lean on. People are drawn to those who bring stability in moments of chaos. You turn into a rock, a steady presence they can rely on. This isn't just about relationships, it's about life. The most successful people don't let setbacks or external pressures shake them. They stay focused, composed and resilient, even in the face of adversity. When someone tests you or pulls back, your instinct might be to chase, to overcompensate, to fix things immediately. Resist that urge. Take a breath. Let the moment pass. Remember, your value doesn't come from how they feel about you. It comes from within. Your worth isn't tied to their mood or their approval. It's tied to your ability to stand tall, regardless of what's happening around you. Imagine this. They pull back, expecting you to react, to panic, to overreach. But instead, you remain calm. You don't blow up their phone. You don't try to force a resolution. You focus on yourself, your growth, your purpose, your goals. That calmness, that steady confidence is what separates you from everyone else. It's what makes you unshakable. As Epictetus once said, "He who is not disturbed by the opinions, desires and fears of others will be unshakable." This is your armor. It's your shield. Emotional strength isn't just a tool, it's a way of life. It's the realization that your happiness, your peace, and your value come from within, not from anyone else. When you build this foundation, no one, not even the person you love most, will have the power to shake you. You'll stand tall, unbothered, and stronger than ever. That's the kind of power no one can take away from you, and that's how you become truly unshakable. Number 8. Let silence make them miss you. In a world that's constantly connected, where notifications ping endlessly and attention is handed out like candy, silence has become the rarest, most powerful signal you can send. The truth is, they won't miss you if you're always there, always reachable, always reacting. But when you pull back and step away, something shifts. Your absence creates a void, a space they can't ignore. Think about this. Attention is everywhere. Likes, comments, DMs, it's all just noise. But silence stands out. Imagine a crowded room filled with chatter. Then suddenly, the noise stops. That silence, it's deafening. That's what happens when you stop giving your attention. They might be used to your likes, your comments, your reactions to their stories. Maybe you thought this was the way to show interest, but to them, it made you blend into the sea of attention they receive daily. It's easy to get lost in the crowd when you're always available. But the moment you go quiet, no likes, no comments, no views, that's when they start to notice. Marcus Aurelius once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." When you go silent, you let their imagination take over. They begin to ask themselves questions. Why haven't they reached out? Did I do something wrong? Have they moved on? This uncertainty creates tension, and tension creates intrigue. Picture this. They post a story of themselves out with friends, laughing, having fun. Normally you'd comment, maybe send a quick, "looks like a great time." But not this time. This time, you don't engage. You don't react. You don't even view it. Suddenly, your silence feels louder than any comment ever could. Here's the thing. People don't value what's handed to them too easily. When you're constantly available, You become just another notification, just another part of the noise. But when you hold back, when you stop being accessible, you become something rare. You become a mystery. They'll start to wonder why you're not engaging anymore. That curiosity grows with every post you don't react to, with every day they don't hear from you. And when they start posting things designed to grab your attention, thirst traps, cryptic messages, you stay cool. You don't engage. You don't give them the satisfaction of knowing you've noticed. This isn't about playing games. It's about shifting the dynamic. It's about valuing your time and attention so highly that you no longer hand it out freely. The less you give, the more they'll value it when you do. Imagine a rare gem in a shop window. People stop and stare because it's not something they see every day. Your attention should feel the same, rare, valuable, and worth earning. As Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." By choosing not to react, by staying silent, you're showing strength. You're saying without words that your world doesn't revolve around their actions. The beauty of this approach is that your absence doesn't just make them miss you, it makes them realize what they took for granted. Every moment of silence is a reminder of the space you once filled. And as that space grows, so does their curiosity, their longing, their realization that you're not like the others. When you pull back, you're not just disappearing. You're creating a presence in their mind. They'll begin to feel your absence in a way they never expected. And in that quiet, you've done something powerful. You've become the person they can't stop thinking about. Not because of what you've done, but because of what you've chosen not to do. Let silence do the work for you. It's louder, more effective, and infinitely more compelling than any words you could say. In a world full of noise, be the quiet they can't ignore.